Oh, hello once again. We're so glad to have you back today into On My Heart because today we're looking at lights and darks. It's not quite enough to just have color because the light comes in through the color and the dark creates beautiful shadows. And we're going to learn how to really use that and to change the whole mood and tone of all the colors that we're using. And we have to remember this. God made flowers in every beautiful tone, and He made people in every beautiful tone. We're all different colors, shapes, and sizes. And so we're going to rejoice in that today, and we're going to look at the options of using colors with tints and shades. So, welcome, and let's get started. Okay, my dear fellow artists, we're going to have some more fun today. We're going to work on, remember, last lesson we made our color wheel. Remember this? We had the primaries, red, yellow, and blue. And then on this one, we started doing a few tints and shades. Today, we're going to really get into that, and we're going to try tints and shades of every color. So that's going to be awesome. So last time, what we did was we opened the paint, which we should have closed it up when you're done. Remember, don't leave it open all night because it'll dry. Okay, so I'll take the covers off the paint. We got the red, yellow, and blue, the primaries, remember? Okay, I'm going to get another palette, have a lot of them, because you'll use as many as you need. And what I'm going to do is, these are the spoons we used last time. I put them in the paint to put it onto the palette. And so you can leave them in the paint while you're working. But when I'm done, I usually stick them on another plate because they'll dry. And actually, sometimes they're so dry you could peel the paint right off. It's kind of cool. But they're reusable. So we don't have to throw them away every time. So here's the yellow spoon and the blue spoon. So let's get our palette, prepare our palette again. We need a spoonful of red, a spoon of yellow. Leave plenty of room in between, so kind of put your plates into thirds. Yellow and blue. These are the primaries, remember? Okay, so we got all those three. And I'm going to grab a brush, whatever brush you like. If it's comfortable and feels good, use it. So there's all different shapes and styles of brushes. And so feel free to use them all and start collecting brushes so that you have plenty. Now, we're going to use two palettes today to start off with. This is the primaries. And now I'm going to add the white onto another palette and the black. These are our tints tints are white, shades are black. So we're going to do tints and shades today of the 3 primaries, and that will get you very, very used to the colors that you can get from these 3 colors. So let's start out with red. Red is lovely. So I'm going to put a little spot of white instead of the whole thing, and a tiny little spot of red off the side, remember, not out of the middle. You got to train yourself to do that, because otherwise you'll ruin all your red, because as you can see, you add a little bit of red to white, and you get pink. If you want pink, that's cool. But if you want all your red to turn pink, that's not so cool. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Let's wait on this for just a minute. I'm going to put a spot of red up at the top of a new heavy piece of paper. So I'll put it here so that you can keep these, because these are handy. And remember, whenever you're done using your brush, put it in water, because otherwise it'll dry. So keep the brush handy in water. So here is red with a little bit of white. Just a little bit of white. And that makes light pink. But let's go darker. Let's see how dark we can get until we get back to the red. Ooh, that's a lovely shade. That is a very rich rose color. See, isn't that pretty? A little bit more of this is an even deeper rose color. Now you might be wondering, how do we get a dusty rose color? You know what that color is? It's kind of a beautiful pink, but it's graded tones to it. So we'll take a nice rose color, and your palettes are for mixing. So don't be afraid to mix on these palettes. This is kind of your box or your palette where your source is from, so you don't have to keep dipping into the jars. So let's take a tiny bit of black, just a tiny bit, and mix it to the rose color. And you start to get that beautiful grayed out dusty rose. So pretty. It's a beautiful shade. So there's a dusty rose for you. Okay. Now, what if we want to make a lighter dusty rose? Who knew? So we just add a little bit of white to the dusty rose, and it's going to make a lighter dusty rose. That's how you change the shades and the tints of colors. See, it's not quite the same as pink. There was the plain pink with just white. You see that? And here is the pink with a tiny bit of black into the white. It changes it. And we can experiment in changing every color like that. So let's make, for the last one, let's make a real deep rose color. So we'll put that here. Okay. It's kind of a deep rose color. But now let's add some black to that. And this is going to get real dark. but it is so rich and so beautiful. Some of these colors are odd, but when you see them, oh, they're just thrilling. So if you like muted tones and the unusual tones, this is how you get them. Isn't that a beauty? See? All this starting with red and adding white and black. Now we could do one more really quick one, which I'm just going to put this in water, grab another brush. It helps to have a bunch of brushes, even if they're just lousy brushes. You don't need fancy brushes, but just it helps to have a bunch. What if we just added black to red? Let's try that and see. So this is going to be red with nothing in it, no white, because white's going to change it. So let's see how black is going to do with that. Whoa. That starts getting into your very deep maroon shades. Let's put it there. It's good on your paper to put all your colors, and we're going to do color tests for each one, okay? So see, that's a very nice maroon color. And these don't have to be perfect. I'm just trying to get this big enough so you can actually see it. But see, that color is very lovely. Let's add a little bit more black to that color. And we'll end up getting the deepest, darkest, most beautiful black, but with red tones in it. That is gorgeous. It's like a deep, very deep cherry red. And this is going to be handy because as you're painting, you're going to want to get colors. You know, see how that one looks? That's pretty cool. That's a very, very deep red-black color. But it's got the red undertones, and they're very rich. And then, of course, you can start experimenting and doing crazy things. Like you could add a little bit of white to that and see how that changes even more, you know? It's really good. It's really good. And somehow you can get your grade tones in here too. Okay, so there's kind of another grade red. And you can keep going on infinitely with changing these colors. So you experiment and find the ones that you really, really like. Let's do the same thing with, let's try with the yellows. You're going to be really surprised at this one, okay? So we'll throw that brush in there and grab another one. Okay, so now we want to do yellows. Since we got a lot of plates, let's just use them. By the way, this is not being wasteful. You can save all these plates, okay? You can save them all. I'm going to show you how you can save the plates that still have a lot of paint on, or if they're dried up, you can save them and reuse them again. You can get your colors back again. So maybe we might use several plates for this experiment, but you can save them. And sometimes the paint dries and you can peel it right off in one piece, which is very interesting. What we want to do now is add some white to the yellow. It's going to be very beautiful because if you're looking for different shades of yellows, even getting into different shades of whites, this is where we're going to start seeing stuff. So from my white pile here, I'm taking from the side, but I'm taking a good amount. And so I'm just going to mix up some yellow with a little bit of white. Whoops, did the same thing again. First, I want to put a spot of plain yellow on a paper so I know what we're dealing with, okay? So this spot, plain yellow, okay? Now, put that brush in water. Now, here is plain yellow with a little bit of white. So you can see how it did. This might not show up too good, but see how red turned to pink with a little bit of white? Yellow turns into a very soft yellow with a little bit of white. We can add more white and it gets even softer. It turns into almost what they call eggshell color, and that's a color that people really like. So it's almost borderline white, but eggshell is not white. Eggshell is white with a little bit of yellow in it. Okay? And we can even add more more white, and it's really going to be light. It almost looks white. So the more white you add, the lighter and lighter it's going to get. So I'm going to stick this brush in there, and I'll grab one out of here. This really colors your water quickly. So get your trusty towel and wipe the excess water off, because what I want to do now is I want to take plain yellow again, put some over here, and I want to add some black. This is going to surprise you. I'll start with just a little, maybe a little more so it shows up better. Yeah. Look at the color that yellow and black makes. It makes a beautiful shade of olive green. It's amazing. Who would have thought that yellow and black makes green? But it does. And if you like these less primary or less secondary, I should say, colors, like more muted greens, this will add a little bit more black and get that even darker, because you can get beautiful dark greens. We're going to start using all this when we start doing our landscapes. And sometimes you're going to want all different shades of greens. And this is a good one for getting really dark, muted greens, like the khakis and the greens that you would see more in nature. We could add even more black to that, and we'll get the darkest of all greens. And when we are painting nature pictures, sometimes you just want such a dark green that it looks almost black. See, that is a very dark green. You're going to be happy knowing this. Now, the next session, we're going to do blues, and we're going to do skies, and it's going to be very exciting. But I want to give you a little tip on taking care of your paints and your brushes, so that when you're done with the paints for the day, you can actually save your spoons if you want to. Like sometimes I don't always use plastic. Sometimes I use real spoons. You don't want to just toss them every day. So you can clean it up by getting most of the paint off of your spoons, and then I just put them on a plate to dry. And they will dry. And you can even you can just peel the paint off. It turns into a plastic coating. And so you can peel it off, or you can just keep reusing the spoon in the same color, because you obviously know what color it is. And be sure to cover your paints at night so that it doesn't dry out, because remember, this is real latex acrylic paint, and like any good paint, it will dry if it's left out in the open air all night. So that's my white pile. And I try to put the spoons in the same place just so the spoons don't get contaminated with another color. You want to, as best as you possibly can, keep your spoons clean of other colors so that you don't dip a spoon with another color into your whole jar and ruin the jar of paint. Because you'd be surprised, a little bit of another color will change your paint. Now we got all these palettes, but fear not. Some of these are dry already because it was real thin, but some have a lot of paint left on it. You can do one of a few things. You can just use a dry one to cover up the wet one. And you can actually save this paint for another day. And see, we got this on here. We can save that. Just cover up with a dry one, and you can, it's okay leaving it out overnight. You can put it in a plastic bag, or you can stick it in the freezer. This stuff lasts for a long time and it doesn't dry out. So you're not wasting anything. We don't want to just waste stuff because, stuff is expensive and we want to conserve. So you can actually save the stuff that has a bigger amount of paint. So we're ready to paint again tomorrow. Your brushes, usually I like to take my brushes and I like to rinse them off really good. And you can even rinse them under the sink and lay them out nicely to dry on another nice paper towel so that next time you want to paint, they're all ready for you. See? And we'll do that with these. Ooh, look at that. Changes the water pretty. Don't drink it. I had a friend who was busy painting, and she took a drink of the paint water instead of her real water, which you should be drinking. So don't drink the paint water, is what I'm trying to say. And drink a lot of water. Stay hydrated and ready to get back to work. We're going to have some really fun because we're doing blues next time. See you then. All right. So there's a lot of beauty in lights and darks, isn't there? God made day and night, and he also made dusk and dawn and every shade in between. So we can rejoice in that. Next week, we're going to have the blues, but not sad blues, happy blues. Blues is one of the most comforting of all the colors. You think of the beautiful blue skies and the beautiful blue waters, and we're going to be exploring the comfort and peacefulness of blues, and we're going to look into every shade. So be sure to come back and have some blues with us. See you then, and you'll be on our hearts.
Hi, I'm Alex, the editor of On My Heart. Working with Buffy was a lot of fun. She even painted this quick portrait of me. When you give a gift, you make local community-focused programming like On My Heart possible. Just use the QR code or visit our website at the link in our bio to find out how. And don't forget to like and subscribe to watch more great episodes and get inspired to let loose your inner artist.